Join Boise State Public Radio for a concert with blues rock guitarist and vocalist Coco Montoya at the Treefort Music Hall in Boise, February 13th, with reserved seating. A night with Coco Montoya and his band. Find details and a link for tickets at boisestatepublicradio.org.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. More Idaho Matters right now. The City of Boise recently expanded its composting program, which means they're now asking for more of your leftovers. So now, instead of throwing away old meat or dairy products, you can add them to your green cart. So joining us to talk more about these changes is Lisa Knapp, Boise's Compost Programs Coordinator. Lisa, nice to have you on the show.
Hi, Gemma. Thanks for having me.
So let's get right into it. What new food items can now be added to that compost bin?
All right. So in addition to your vegetative food scraps, so your peels and cores and things you kind of make when you're prepping vegetables, we are now accepting basically all food waste from your kitchen. So meat, dairy, bones can go in there, fish, any of that stuff. And the best part is your plate scrapings can go in. So if you, like me, have little kids who sometimes don't finish their food, that entire plate can now be scraped into your compost cart and kept out of the landfill.
So I have bigger kids. They do the same thing. It doesn't change. Just FYI. With that said, what happens to all that food waste when it does go to the landfill?
Sure, that's a great question. There's been a lot of focus on trying to keep food waste out of our landfills across our country and here locally. So food waste, when it goes to the landfill, it gets buried right away, and it starts to decompose anaerobically, and it produces methane. And what's significant about food waste as compared to other organic waste in the landfill is that food waste decomposes very quickly. So it's in a matter of weeks or months, and it's long before our landfill is able to get those landfill gas recovery systems in place.
So how much waste are you able to keep out of the landfill because of this program?
Yeah, that's great. So currently our compost program diverts about a third of our residential waste. So a third by weight of the total waste that gets picked up from our residential homes. Before we added this food waste in, we did a survey just last fall of all of those who have a compost cart. And we found that while most people who have one are using it for their yard waste, under half were actually using it for any food waste at all. So we realized that it was a big priority to try to break down those barriers and make it much easier for people to start getting that food waste in, because it is such an important item to keep out of our landfill.
So here's a question for you. We have one of those, and it is all yard waste, right? It's all the waste, like from mowing the lawn, that type of stuff. Can you put the food waste in the same bin, or does it have to be separate?
No, right in your compost cart. It's all organic. It's all the same place. And so, I think one concern that residents do have is, will this make my cart get smelly? And so we do have some good recommendations on our website. But in general, we have so much yard waste compared to our food waste that as long as you can kind of layer it in there, a lot of people will choose to keep their food scraps in their freezer during the week and then just put it in your cart on the day that you set it out for collection. Or this time during the winter when most of us don't have a lot of yard waste, you can actually just line the bottom of your compost cart with either a piece of cardboard. You can use the greasy side of a pizza box even, or just a paper bag from the grocery store. And then that helps when they dump your cart to get all that food waste out and really keep those odors from getting into your cart.
So do you have any idea how many Boise residents are currently participating in the compost program?
Yeah, we service about 78,000 households every week. And what's really cool about our program here in Boise is that we have a 97% opt-in rate, which is just remarkable. So Boiseans, they love their compost. They love to do the right thing for the environment. And it's a really, really great program.
So why decide to expand the food that could be added to our green carts? I mean, could we not do meat and milk before this?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So when we started this program back in 2017, this was the first full-scale curbside program in our state. And we went through the permitting process with our Department of Environmental Quality, and decisions were made that we should be careful. We want to make sure we're doing this right, that we're not, getting too far ahead of ourselves. But now we have been monitoring and composting for over 5 years. We have a significant amount of data that shows that we're getting really high temperatures. We're making really, really excellent compost. And we have the conditions at our compost facility to break down these more complex products like meat and dairy. And what's really great is, so meat and dairy in particular are very nutrient rich. So they break down and give us nutrients that are great for our plants. And it actually makes a better compost than if we don't have as much food waste going into it.
I have about a minute left. How does the city use all that compost waste once it's collected? I mean, you said, when it goes in the landfill, it turns into methane. So what happens then?
Yeah. So our compost, part of our priority of our program here is to get as much of this compost back into Boise's soils as we can. It helps significantly with water retention in our dry summers, and it helps us grow healthy plants that can sequester even more carbon out of our atmosphere and keep our air clean. So we do currently give back about a quarter of the compost that we made through programs for our customers, and then also we use them in our parks to top dress turf, which can help reduce the use of chemical fertilizers.
Well, I just think that how great, right? And to know that you've been able to expand the program as well, that's going to mean a lot to a lot of folks. We've been talking with Lisa Knapp. She is Boise's compost program coordinator, talking about the new items that you can now throw into your green carts. This is the Idaho Matters podcast. I'm Gemma Gaudette.
We're more than just podcasts and a radio station at Boise State Public Radio. We're a trusted resource and a lifeline for communities across Idaho. It's up to all of us to safeguard public media's future. You can learn more at protectmypublicmedia.org. Together, we can ensure that Boise State Public Radio remains a trusted resource for you and your neighbors for generations to come.